motivation, new energy. We're going to do all that. First of all, how to become a better salesperson and increase your influence and income. This is something that I've not talked about. I've talked about that you should become a salesperson, but I haven't talked about how you become a better, more influential, and profitable salesperson. Because when I first got in the game, I didn't really have salesmanship skills. It was the power of your subconscious mind, Earl Nightingale Lead to Feel, Brian Tracy. See, what you're going to have to do is become a student of the game. And this is something that many salesmen neglect. For every year that you're in sales, you need to invest 5% of your income in sales training. 5% going to some kind of sales conference. That's what you need to do. 5 to 10% of your income, because what's going to happen, like, I'm going to say this again. I don't know the name of the book. It was years and years ago. The book had a red and black cover. It was on cold calling. I invested in my sales career. This is something I have been doing since day one. There's resources out there. You don't have to invent the wheel. You don't have to start from scratch. You just have to be willing to invest money. Once again, this is a hard thing for some people to do, to invest money in some kind of sales training. They look at it as, I'm supposed to be good. I'm going to tell you what has helped me become a master salesperson is consistently investing in sales, consistently investing in my influence. One of the things I did, I'm not going this year, but I went to Vid Summit to learn more about YouTube. I'm at a point where now I need to invest in one-on-one. I need to go out and get people who can mentor and coach me to the next level. If you own a business, you're in sales. If you own a business, you're in sales. If you own a business, you're in sales. As the owner of that business, you are a commission salesperson. You don't get money unless you sell something. So if you're a business owner, you're a salesperson. You may not like that. You may not want to look at it like that. Like, I'm the CFO of Worldwide Corp, and we do this and we do this. No money exchanges hands until you sell something. One of the biggest issues I used to have here on YouTube, I don't get it that much anymore, were people who had a problem with me being a salesman. Used to see it in the comments. It's like, man, stop selling your courses. Go out and get a job like me. Go out and get, quote, a real job. And for anyone who says this lacks a fundamental understanding of sales and the sales process. Because to be a good salesperson, you need to be on consistent self-discovery. Brian Tracy had a program years ago. where he talked about this sales guy. His first year, he did 100K. The second year, he did 200K. His third year, he did 400K. But this guy was spending 10% of his income on sales training. Whenever he got a raise, he would go to a retreat, he would go to something, he would learn how to sell more. And this is one of the things that most of you have got to do. Once again, I have a free audio book that's under this video that's going to help you get your mindset correctly. It's going to help you build your internal fortitude. That's a resource. Go ahead and get that book. And also, once again, just like I was many, many years ago, I didn't know what I was doing. I did not have a clue. I had to learn from Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Earl Nightingale, Dr. Joseph E. Murray. I had to create my own school, so to speak, of how to make money. Once again, this is one of those videos that doesn't get a lot of views because people, I don't want to be a salesperson. I want to make money, but I don't want to be a salesperson. I want someone just to give me money for showing up, looking good, and smiling. How many jobs out there like that where you get paid for how good you look? There's a few. Instagram is full of them, but you got to have that look. If you don't have that look, no one's going to pay you for trying to be. No one's going to pay you for just showing up. Sales is the fastest way to change your social and economic class. Fastest way to do that. Fastest way for you to scale the economic ladder. Fastest way. This is what helped me getting into sales. First, I was selling at Rent-A-Crate. The job paid $38K. That was my base salary. $38,000 a year. Okay. And let's see. $2,000. $38. This was my base income. So compared to today, I went in making $56,000. That's what my dollars got me in 2000. Plus I had commission. It's a pretty good job for me coming from that boarding house, coming from the labor pool, coming from Ice Ice Baby, slinging ice out the back of a truck. I came up for the first time in my life in 3 years. I was able to easily live off one income. Salespeople are needed at any time. If you're about to have a recession and you are a good salesperson, you ain't losing your job. Sales can be recession proof. Yes, it can be recession proof if you're good enough. If you're spending money on becoming a better salesperson. And this is something else that I've noticed too. All of the really good salespeople that I knew had assets. I remember this lady named Jackie. She was in telecom sales. And Jackie had a lakefront house that she would invite people over, and we would have little mini retreats and stuff there. And I got fortunate to go. She had this lake house. She drove a Mercedes. And I remember when Jackie just said, "No more, I'm out." Jackie was able to retire. She's like, between my rental properties and my money in my accounts, I'm good. See, this is the reason why you got to become a student of the game. Because Jackie was a student of the game. Jackie spent money for sales training. You got to spend money for the game. Also, you need to find a product to sell. Once again, here on the internet, people are like, don't sell to me. And see, people don't care if you sell to them if you do it so good. If you sell to them in a way that they don't realize that you're selling to them, they don't really care. You got to be so good that they don't know that you're selling. This is one of the things you have to do. So one of the things you have to do is get yourself a sales training academy. You have a lot of people. You've got Jordan, the Wolf of Wall Street. You got Grant Cardone. There's this one guy who considered himself a master salesman. I don't really buy it because he's not selling me, but his personality rubs me the wrong way. So part of being an excellent salesperson is, number one, find a product that you can get behind. Find a product that you can get behind. I have never sold anything well that I didn't believe in. When I was selling, there was a stint where I was trying to sell burial policies. That didn't work out so well. I didn't like the product. I was trying to make some money. I was scared. And we had to do a lot of cold calling. Go out in the middle of the day, knock on doors, get in the house, get them to listen to you, pitch the product, collect a check. There were some people who were really good at it, but they liked the product. I did not like the product. I really wasn't keen on selling burial policies. So if you're a person who likes that type of stuff, you can make the money. I'm chilling on the north side. I don't live on the south side. Yep. That was because with old people, when I was growing up, old people discussed dying all of the time. They were like, I got my tomb, I got my cemetery plot. I already bought that and paid for it. That was a big thing for old people in my neighborhood, to take care of their final needs so they wouldn't be a burden upon the people left behind. But if you want to become a master salesman, you need to breathe, study, inhale sales training consistently. What many salespeople will do is a little sales training in the beginning of their career, and then they'll stop. I have invested money into selling. When I was in the storage auction business, I did do this sales training. I started it again after I wrote my first book. What was the storage auction business was selling on price. I was getting the stuff so cheap that I could sell it at whatever price they liked and make a lot of money. The storage auction business was so different than any other business. And I took my business training into that business. Malachi Stafford. Every time I tried to sell something, didn't like, I was nervous and didn't feel good at all. You were more likely trying to sell something you didn't believe in. You didn't believe it, so the people you were trying to sell to didn't believe it. They were like, this is some caca. This ain't something that we want to invest our time, energy, and money into. Part of sales, and if you get with a company as a salesperson and you become good, you don't have to worry about raises. If you, because like a friend of mine, he works for a company, but he gets commission. He's 100% commission. Last year, he did $850,000. Best year ever. When you get in sales, you don't have to worry about cost of living raises. There's this group that I'm in, and they talk about getting a job with a nice base. And I feel that if you're a good enough salesperson, you should be able to make sales without a base. I can see maybe a draw for a few months to get you rolling, because I'm a salesperson. I don't make any money unless I sell something. That's the way it is. DMV Pat, that's how I felt when I was selling mattresses like 10 years ago. I could make sales, but I wasn't moved by the product. So one of the things that you have to do is find a product that you can get behind in, something that you really believe in. That's one of the first steps that you do, because essentially many people get a job selling a product because the money's good. One of the transitions that many people made from being a lab technician was getting into medical device sales. Thing is, it required a ton of travel. So you got a territory. That is one of the things that I never really got into. I was interested into it, and I talked to a few people, but I never did it. And, looking back, I'm kind of glad that didn't work out, because the things that did worked out amazingly well. So once again, find the product that you can, if you can, find a product that excites you. Find a product that you are enthusiastic about. Because as a Shanley, I used to watch Shanley selling these crates. He was a master at it. He had this British accent, and he was like, and there was just the sequence of words. He was like, well, Mr. Customer, we're going to bring your crates. And I noticed that he used a lot of the metaphysical with his salesmanship. He would lay it out. He would speak to them in authoritative voice, and they would just buy, and buy. And I studied him, and I began to model him. My sales went up. This is probably one of the hardest things for some arrogant people to do, is to model someone who's successful, because they can't get out of their own way. They got to be the one that's making the change. So the first thing is, you've got to learn how to prospect. Many companies break this up. Prospecting is finding leads. In the sales group, there's some people who don't want to do the hard work of finding leads. When I was selling office furniture, I had to find the lead. I had to cold call the lead. I had to set the appointment. I had to get in and do the sales presentation, close the sale, manage the installation, and manage the customer satisfaction. That's 7 steps. And I had people who were in other industries who had, like, I know one girl, she had an $85,000 a year base, plus she got 3% commission. And I was like, Diane, if you go to 100% commission, you're going to make way more money. But she was scared because she had kids. Once again, you need to put yourself in a position where you can get a sales job that you handle that much weight. When you're handling that much weight, your income is going to be significantly higher. Now, I have a course, How to Be an Uber Salesperson, that goes with this. It's below. If you're new here and you're like, hey, where do I start, Uncle G? What's my first course? First thing you should do is download your free audiobook. Then there's a sequence of courses below. When I was doing 30 days of 2,500, I had people who were getting amazing results. I had someone who was making $70,000, $80,000 a month. Most he ever did was 20,000. But see, part of becoming a salesman is establishing your belief system that you can do it. For many people who've never sold anything or had an online business, that first sale is confirmation that this is possible. This is where many people are. It's like, I had a friend, he had a website. He had his first sales. He called me up and he was just like, man, this is real. This Wi-Fi bread, this is real. And I was just like, yeah, I keep telling you this. I do this every day. For people who are not internet people, for people who've never really sold anything, it seems like witchcraft. It seems like something from another planet. To actually sell something, make some money. So, I will tell you how I do my sales. I work from an inbound lead generation. I put up content here on YouTube and people find it. And typically, there's some people who are so turned on, they'll watch 10, 20 videos in a row. And they're like, man, this guy's got content for days. And then they'll buy. That's how I get sales, through inbound lead generation. Antonio Williams. I find the common ground with people, sell myself to them first. Usually good people don't mind spending money with a hardworking good person they're already to buy. You need to close. Warming up the lead is very important. And this is one of the things that Shanley was very good at. He would have 5 to 10 minutes of chit chat time. So what are you doing? He would find out if they were married and all this other stuff that really seemed immaterial to the sale. But Shanley thought that stuff was important. And I remember one of my bigger deals. I asked this lady about her family, her kids. And this is one of the things you have to do. When someone tells you a family member's name, you got to say that name 5 to 10 times in your mind to lock it in. And I remember I went to see her and I was like, how's Jack doing? And she was so impressed that I remembered her son's name. That deal was mine. The rest of the conversation was just like, so number one, find the product where you have to do the most. See, I'm going to tell you the opposite. Most internet advice is find the path of least resistance. You're not going to make the most money on the path of least resistance. You're going to have to go out and find something that is hard to do. That's going to get you the money, because big money doesn't come to things that's easy to do. Look at what's happening to fitness YouTubers. It's getting harder and harder for them to make money because there's so many people with six packs. There's so many girls with big booties. It is. So one of the things that you have to do is get your mindset correct, because sales, this is what happened to me during Rent-A-Crate. I would make 50 calls and 48 people would say no. Then I worked upon my craft and I got to a point I can make 50 calls and 35 people would say yes. 35 people, knowing what to say, knowing not what to say. The first thing is, when you're in a sales position, get to the point. The person on the other end of the phone is busy. Get to the point. Be pleasant. Bring positive energy into their life. And it was just little stuff. One of the best things you can do if you're on the phone dialing for dollars, as we used to call it, is put a mirror on your desk and look at your reflection. And I guarantee if you smile, and this is a fake it till you make it, if you smile and you put yourself in a good mood before you get on that phone, your sales, your appointment setting will dramatically improve. Like right now, there are many companies that still sell on the phone. So selling on the phone is a different animal, and that takes another skill set to go in. And it also depends on if it's an interruption or it's an expected call. There's some companies that set it up that we will call you at such and such time, and the person's waiting on the call, so it's not an interruption. That's called a captive audience. So once again, I do these type of videos, these instructional, these educational videos, giving you guys, and these videos don't get a lot of views because people don't want to do the work. This is amazing, because understand why Grant Cardone showcases the Phantom, showcases the plane, because for him to get a message like this across to you, he got to show you all the glitz and glamour, or people just, because I don't have a lot of glitz and glamour. I may change that. The knowledge consumer. One of my first jobs was selling electric plans as a door to salesman. It was intimidating, but I learned a lot. Will Melvin, modeling is probably the most important technique for improving sales. If you drop the ego and realize you don't have to like the person, learn from them. Runs, I'm building an insurance agent using telesales. This is high quality information. You know, I used to sell meat out of the back of a truck. The guys who were good made a lot of money. I remember, because this was how it worked. It was country fed meat. Let's see if they still exist. Oh man. Oh man. This has been forever. So what country fed would do, let's see. Oh, they're closed. Well, this is how it worked with country fed meat. We would the ad was like you can make up to $10,000 a month, right? So essentially, they would give you a truck with a refrigerator on the back of it, and they had steaks, chicken, and you wouldn't go into the city. It was hard to make sales to people in the city. You would go out in the country. You would go 20, 30 miles outside of Atlanta in your meat wagon, slanging that meat. And the people who did the best were funny, had great personalities, and could tell stories. I did not do it that long because selling meat out of the back of a truck, because first of all, you had to believe that you could sell meat. One of the first things that you as a salesperson has to develop is the belief that you can sell this, that you can set this stuff up. So I was in the meat truck riding around the south side of Atlanta, slinging meat, steaks, pork chops. Because first thing you have to do was get on the property. And people out in the country were more willing to listen to your pitch. They were more willing to give you the time of day. Man, but I didn't like the job because I didn't like the clients. And this is something else you should be aware of. Whatever industry you get in, you want to like the product, you want to like the industry, and you want to like the clients. Because, you know, it was a bunch of country bumpkins. That's who I was dealing with and didn't like it. And this is one of the things you should understand. Whatever you're selling, you should like the customer. You should appreciate the customer. And this is a hard thing. Which is better, being a consultant or being a salesperson? If you're a consultant, you got to be a salesperson. You're like, who's going to sell your consulting services? You. How do you get around that? You got to be able to get people to buy into you being a consultant, which takes sales skills. One of the things is a consultant goes into a company and provides resources, skill sets, and they'll change the company's, they'll fix and improve whatever the company. You got to sell that concept to the end user that, hey, I'm the consultant that can come in and change your company and we can make you more money. That takes sales skills. As a consultant, you are a salesperson. Got to sell yourself first, because essentially the best salespeople have the ability to make the customer feel comfortable. That's one of the things that you got to do. You have got to make the customer feel comfortable, make the customer feel good about doing business with you. This is part of the personality of a salesperson. So you've got a lot of people who don't understand the dynamics. So number one, you need to have a good personality. You need to be someone that's likable. People who are likable can make a ton of money. A ton of money. So another thing is, once you pick the industry, the product that you like, that you can get behind, that you feel good about selling, then you got to do product information. You got product research. You got to know that product inside and out. I remember I went on shopping for cars at one time, and I ran across this sales guy who knew his product inside and out. He knew the difference between the 3 Series, the 4 Series. Soon as I rolled up on the lot, he was like, "You look like a 5 Series guy. You know, a big fella like you need a little room. Not exactly the 7 Series." And he went on, and I drove out of there with a brand new BMW 540. He knew I had money. That was funny. As a salesperson, you're going to pick up on the little things to let you know who you're dealing with. Because the guy came out, he greeted me, he was extremely courteous. It's like he knew I had money burning in my pocket. It's like he knew I had money. He gave me A+++ service. He earned my business that day. Jason, do you think an introvert with low social skills can get good at sales? I think if a person embarks on a program of personal development, they can get good at anything they want to get good at. And Tony Williams, make them feel like they won. Yeah, the hood teaches you how to talk to different people because there is no pretense in the hood. Nobody's pretending to be anything in the hood. So you're dealing with real situations. The best salespeople are introverts, because on the scale, and let's go here. So let's break off into that. Are extroverts or introverts better salespeople? Introverts make great listeners. It's essential that the prospect feels heard. A salesperson who won't let the prospect get a word in edgewise or steamrolls past objections won't be successful. Introverted salespeople don't feel the need to dominate the conversation because simply because they like to sound their own voice. I did some reading about this. Typically on a scale of 1 to 10, people who are in the middle as introverts are the better salespeople because they have greater empathy. The guy who's the very flashy, very like this one guy when I was selling cars, Ron Valentine. Ron, he actually gave me some people he didn't want. He's like, man, they won't talk to you. They don't want to talk to a guy with a Rolex. He didn't think they had any money. He had prejudged them and they rolled out, not from me, but from another salesperson who actually went after them, who's like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I remember this situation. It was an elderly black couple. They came in. I showed them the product, didn't press them. And I remember what this old lady said. He really wanted it. He really wanted to sell. You didn't. This is what this old lady grandma type told me. And I learned a valuable lesson there because this is the thing, because you got to understand your industry. And car sales is if you stepping on that lot, you looking for a car. I don't care what you say, how you dip and dodge. If you're on that car lot, you're looking for a car. And my job as a salesperson was to sell people who stepped on the lot of the car. That was it. Yeah, because the thing is, this is what happened to me, and this is why I got out of resell. When I first came on YouTube, I was a diehard reseller. I was eBay, Amazon, and then something started to happen. I began to not like the customers of resale. And I remember I had a group and I gave it to Morris. I got out of it because I didn't like the customers. I did not like the business. And I knew that that was going to taint my ability to sell because I still am not a fan of participating in the resale conversations because a lot of these people, what happened was there used to be respect. I was one of the founding fathers of the resale community on YouTube. When I came on YouTube, my storage auction videos, it was like 38 people making resale type videos, and they were not consistent. Dan Dotson of Storage Wars was one of them. And I brought a certain passion and enthusiasm to the business model. And then part of the reason I didn't like resale was people were jealous of my success. And people would leave these type of comments. I'm not going to buy your product. I'm just going to be here for the free information. Thank you. What kind of dick does that? So it had, and it slowly dawned on me because, once again, I am not a race-based person that things happen because of race. But the reality was I was a strong, confident, successful black man talking that talk. And a lot of the white dudes didn't like it. This is why they would have 3 to 4 hour hangouts about me, talking about me. People talking about they're the king of resales when they had maybe a years of experience. I had a decade of experience of reselling at a high level. And I just was out. And once again, I like this community. I like the business, the founder, the entrepreneur. I love that type because, people are hustlers. But the resellers, and, every now and then I'll go over there. It's become a popularity contest. It is not based upon skill sets. It's very interesting. True. It's like about liking the client, the niche, and the product. Yeah, because the thing is, you have to do so much hard work when you're in sales. And if you don't like the product, you don't like the industry, you don't like the client, every day you just got to drag yourself to work. Oh, that's deep. Yep, you ran the resale click on YouTube back in the day. There was a lot of people resentful because of that. What's up, Johnny Walden? What's up, Brilliant Cian Thompson? Having the courage to step in the sales game is honorable in itself. Absolutely. Oh, they weren't customers. They were trolls. I had a lot of people troll the channel. I had people create fake channels to harass people who were leaving positive comments. The jealousy ran deep. It ran deep. And this is why I got out of resale. And this is one of the reasons that I could give accurate predictions about resale, because I wasn't in love. Like, I predicted what was going to happen with Amazon FBA before it happened. And I had people who questioned my intellect because it's like, man, Amazon FBA, where the customers are. One of the things I've learned from my business training is things don't stay the same. Everything is dynamic. When I was writing my first book, there was a guy, J.K. Conrath. Let me see if I can find him. These guys were talking about that Kindle writers were going to make perpetual money. And I just knew that that wasn't going to be the case, because I knew that Amazon would change up Kindle, which they did, because this is where I came up with Cameron's Law. I think at some point, third-party platforms are going to behave in their own best interest. And Amazon created a method to cut authors' income and they were real slick about the way they did it. And this is one of the reasons that I start selling my products from my website, because I remember I had this conversation with Amazon rep from CreateSpace, because I used to look at my ranking, my book ranking. Whenever my book ranking would go down, that's when I would have an increase in sales. And I had a month where my number dropped really low, but it didn't reflect in my CreateSpace dashboard. And I called them up. And then a month later, I got this big adjustment. So to their credit, they found a problem. But I was like, I can't trust them to give me all my money. But he was one of the people who was saying that Kindle authors were going to make incredible money forever. And I just knew that just wasn't the case. That wasn't going to happen. So, you know, becoming a better salesperson is going to dramatically increase your income. It's going to take your income to the stratosphere. All the people that I knew in the business that I networked with that were making money were all salespeople. Either they were the owner of the company, who typically was the company's best salesperson. Typically the owner. I knew a lot of owners. And the office furniture business, I got to interact with a lot of owners. So that helped me with my business development skills. One of the things you got to do is, and like, sales is a great career. If you can become good at sales, you'll never starve, you'll never be broke. And salespeople become extremely good. Good salespeople become extremely valuable in recessions. And the better companies expand and grow during a recession versus shrink, because they have good salespeople. So here's the sales pitch. I want you to go below, get your free audiobook, listen to the audiobook 10 times, and get on your path of getting courses. The courses are very affordable. There is no bulk discount unless you buy one of the packages. So the courses are priced at a level that you can afford to buy them one by one. They ain't gonna break your pockets. They're gonna tone you up. They're gonna teach you how to do so many things, because the first few courses are foundational in their mindset. So go ahead and grab those, and I'll see you guys in the next video.